Hi, everybody. My name is Lori Obazinski. I'm the Director of Client and Partner Relations for Rosy Salon Software. I'm really excited to be here today. I am joined with Jason Foodman, our Rosy Salon Software President. And I am not our payment specialist, but I did bring in our good friend Niru Mishra, who is our Rosie Pay payment specialist. And she's going to be helping us walk through and talk about and understand our payment processing. Niru, can you share a little bit of your background with our viewers?
Yes, absolutely. Thank you, Lori. Good morning, everybody. My name is Niru Mishra, and I am the Rosie Pay manager. I've been in the payments industry for over 18 years, and I'm really excited to be here with all our viewers this morning. Look forward to sharing the ins and outs of the payment industry. Thanks, Lori.
Thanks, Niru. Okay, so we know that we may be covering some terms and topics today that may sound a little bit unfamiliar to you. So we're going to try to take it slow. And we do have the chat box available. So if you have any questions, please go ahead and drop your questions into the chat box, and we will make sure we get to and review all your questions at the end of the presentation. Since most people don't carry cash or even write checks these days, instead we expect places that we do business with to take payments like credit and debit cards and Google and Apple Pay. So one of the best decisions that you as the salon or spa owner could do is make sure you do some homework on your processing company for their terms and conditions and making sure that you find the best rate for your business. And because credit cards are a convenient way for the consumers to pay for products and services, they also tend to spend more on all of those purchases. For example, a study that was done by Dun & Bradstreet found that people spend 12 to 18% more when using credit cards instead of cash. McDonald's once reported that its average credit card ticket was $7 versus $4.50 for cash. It's a 55% increase. And another example done by the Federal Reserve Bank of Boston found the average value of a cash transaction was $22 compared to $112 for a credit transaction. It's a 409% increase. So basically, you're increasing your potential for just earning more money in your business just simply by taking credit cards. In addition to that convenience and the potential increase in your consumer spending, other benefits for payment processing include these here: taking deposits, running pre-authorizations on those cards, offering e-gift cards, and providing contactless payment processing using a card on file feature. So naturally, the convenience of taking credit and debit cards comes at the cost in the form of processing fees. And it's not just the payment processing company that's involved in determining all of these fees. And although we're not going to bore you with all of those details today, just know that there are many players that are involved, and they each take a small cut in exchange for their part of the service. So in simplified terms, processing fees are the cost that the merchant or business owner, in this case, you as the salon or spa owner, is going to pay to accept credit and debit card payments. These fees can add up quickly, plus navigating your credit card processing options and their costs can be confusing. That's why it's essential to understand what's involved to determine how much you're ultimately going to be paying for the convenience of payment processing. So when it comes to fees, there's three main types that are involved in accepting credit cards. So Niru, can you please tell us the difference between transactional fees, monthly processing fees, and incidental fees?
Yes, absolutely. So transactional fees include the interchange rate, the assessment fees, and the payment processor fee, which you will pay for each credit or debit transaction that you process. For example, if you have a rate of 2.55% and 10 cents, it refers to a credit card discount rate of 2.55% of the overall sales plus the 10 cents for the transaction. So for a sale of $100, you would pay $2.55 as your discount fee plus the 10 cents for the transaction, which adds up to $2.65. That will be your total processing fee, basically. The other fees that you would pay would be monthly fees, which are fees that you would pay typically on a monthly basis for using the services of a merchant services provider. And then other kind of fees you would see would be incidental fees, which are charged by your payment processor or merchant account provider due to instances such as a chargeback.
Okay, so although some of these fees depend on what their business qualifies for based on the volume, it is important that they understand that what they're paying for and what should or should not be listed on their monthly merchant statements, right? So with all of that in mind, what are some of the things that they should be looking out for?
So you will see a line for sales discount rate, which is the actual percentage of the ticket amount you pay for your credit and debit card processing. If your rates are different based on credit or debit or the type of card, such as Visa, MasterCard, American Express, or Discover, you might see individual line items for each of those. That may also be the case based on how you entered your transaction, whether it's swiped in person or entered manually. Now, payment processors usually charge higher rates for manually entered transactions, as they feel that there is a higher chance that there could be a stolen card or a fraudulent transaction, which ends up costing them more, and hence they pass that cost on to you. And they basically want to dissuade you from entering any card transactions manually. The other thing that you would see would be if you see a qualified, mid-qualified, or non-qualified discount designation on your statement, understand that they are based on tiered pricing structure that processors usually use to assess credit card processing fees. Now, deciding which transaction and card type are considered qualified, mid-qualified, or non-qualified depends on the card type and the way the transaction was entered, whether it was face-to-face swipe transaction or it was entered manually.
So Niru, does Rosie work on a tiered structure?
No, Rosie does not work on a tiered structure. We just have two kinds of pricing structure. One is a flat rate and the other is cost plus or interchange plus, which is custom pricing.
Okay, great.
And also, it's not uncommon to see a flat rate per transaction fee, which is listed on your monthly statement as well. In the case of the example I mentioned earlier, it was a 10 cents per transaction. The other kind of fees you would see would be, in addition to the transaction, would be the chargeback fee. Should any of your clients dispute a transaction, these fees are normal line items to have listed on your statement. The other fees that you would be on the lookout for are batch fees, which are charged each time you batch out your transactions, usually at the end of your day. Batch fees are much like transaction fees, but are for the number of batches that you close on a monthly basis. And it's not uncommon for a busy salon or a spa to have 28 to 30 batches per month. Other kind of fees that you would see on your statement are monthly processing fee, which I mentioned earlier. These are usually flat rates that you may pay just for the opportunity to use the services of a merchant services provider. You would typically see a monthly fee like this for a business that does not have a large volume of credit card processing each month. Let's see, what other fees? So other fees that you may want to be on the lookout for are statement fees, which are kind of a red flag. They involve a monthly fee that some payment processing companies charge you to grant you access to your own statements. These are basically categorized junk fees or unnecessary fees, so make sure you're not charged one of those. You may also see a PCI validation fee or a non-PCI validation fee, which some payment processing companies charge if your business is not PCI compliant.
Wait, Niru, what the heck does PCI even stand for?
So PCI compliance refers to the Payment Card Industry Data Security Standard, which is a set of security standards designed to ensure that all companies that accept, process, store, or transmit credit card information maintain a secure environment to become and stay in compliance with your business, simply needs to fill out a questionnaire as needed, ensuring that you are running your business in accordance with the standard. If you stay in compliance, there should be no reason to pay these extra fees, but unfortunately, 9 out of 10 businesses still are, paying these fees anyway. So just be aware.
So Niru, if they're paying this fee, would that mean that they're not keeping their information private or secure?
No, it doesn't mean that at all. It's just that merchant processing companies want to have documents to ensure that the business is in compliance. So they want these questionnaires filled out on a quarterly basis or an annual basis. It just depends on, how they operate. But yeah, they basically just want it documented.
Okay. Okay. And then what if they don't get a questionnaire from their credit card processor? What do they do?
So many times companies or businesses are not informed of the PCI compliance. So if they happen to see a non-PCI compliant fee, they should definitely reach out to their processing company and ask them what that is for and how can they get rid of those fees. In which case then they will be asked to fill out the questionnaire and submit it to the processor for those fees to be taken away from the statement.
Okay. Okay. And what about Rosie customers? Do they need to fill this form out?
No, at this point, Rosie takes care of all the PCI needs. In future, though, if there is a change, we will definitely send out communication to let our clients know that they need to fill out the questionnaire. But at this point, we're all good.
Thanks, Nero.
Welcome.
So when it comes to payment processing, how do our salon owners know that they're getting a good deal?
So it basically comes down to your effective processing rate, which is the true cost you are charged for processing each transaction. Your effective processing rate is figured out based on your total fees divided by your processing volume for a given period of time, or for the month, basically.
Okay. So a standard rate from your credit card processor is ideal for if you're an independent contractor like a booth or a suite renter, or if you own a smaller salon processing around $10,000 or less per month. Using a standard rate, for example, let's assume if I have 100 tickets with an average of $100 per ticket per month, that would make my monthly volume at $10,000. So to calculate my effective processing rate, I'm going to divide the total monthly cost by the total monthly processing volume. So in this case, the effective processing rate would be 2.65%. So how do you know if you have a desirable effective processing rate?
So the effective processing rate may differ by the industry, and since we are focusing on salon and in beauty industry, I'd say basically anything within the 3% range is considered a good effective rate to have. And for a salon, averaging 40,000 a month or a higher in processing volume, an interchange plus agreement may be a better option because you actually get the cost plus the basis points. It also provides a lower interchange rate and comes with a few basic monthly charges, which average back out to make for a lower effective rate than a flat rate.
So if your salon or spa averages around $40,000 or more, we did create a few examples of payment processing using this interchange plus rate here. If you want to go ahead and scan the QR code, and you can go ahead and take a look. So we know that nobody likes to feel locked into anything, and it's a good idea to know if there's a long-term contract with your current payment processor, how long that contract is for, is there when the renewal date is, and what it might cost to terminate that contract earlier. So if possible, you want to try to avoid long-term contracts so you have the option to shop around as you want. So what it all comes down to is the higher your volume of payment processing, the better your effective processing rate can be. So if you want to do things like place a value on your time and cover expenses by taking deposits, you can offer a seamless checkout experience with easy credit card storage, effortlessly track and manage your gift cards, your packages, and your monthly memberships, have access to integrated payment reports to keep financial information all in one place, and also rely on a support team that knows your needs and understands how credit card processing can be integrated into your software, then really you're already in the market for credit card processing, and you should really consider Rosie Pay to avoid the junk and the hidden fees that we discussed and Nira discussed and told us about earlier. Rosie Pay is a PCI compliant, contract-free payment processing that's going to save you some money, and it integrates seamlessly with Rosie Salon software for both behind the counter and online experiences. So no matter how you run your business, whether it's a busy front deskless, completely mobile for wedding parties, or if you want tap to pay options like Google Pay, or Apple Pay, you can learn how much you can save with Rosie Pay. You can get a free no obligation statement analysis with Niru or somebody on her team. You can go ahead and scan the QR code here. The email address is available if you have any other questions, and the phone number is listed above. Niru, thank you so much for sharing all of this information with us today. I hope that this was super helpful and shed some light on everybody's processing and credit card payments and their statements. So we do have Elisa working with our chat box. So Elisa, if there were any questions for us, we would love to be able to take those.
Yes, Lori, there were a few questions. There's actually 3 right now. So the first one is a question for either Niru or you, Lori. Is the 2.55%, is that an introductory offer? And is that going to go up in the future? Tell us a little bit more about the 2.55.
So that's basically a flat rate, and we have no plans to increase that rate. It's not an introductory offer. That's what you get once you sign up for the flat rate. Unless there is a change, from MasterCard, Visa, Discover, and they increase their rates, in which case, of course, it goes up for everybody. But right now, no, we have no plans of increasing the rates on you. So it remains as is.
Okay, and I know you addressed this earlier, but spend 5 more seconds telling us the difference between the flat rate and the custom rate.
So flat rate is basically inclusive of, when I said whether you manually enter a transaction or you swipe a transaction, your rates differ based on, how you enter the transaction, right? So the 2.55% and 10 cents includes everything. So it doesn't matter whether you swipe a transaction or you manually enter it. Whereas when you have a custom rate or an interchange plus rate, the card brand fees are based off how you enter a transaction. So for example, if you manually enter a transaction, your card brand fees would be higher. And then there is a discount rate which we charge as a processor. So say for example, you have a custom rate of interchange plus 75 basis points, which is 0.75%. So what that means is the 0.75% is fixed. So on your total processing volume, you would pay the 0.75%, but your card brand fees would differ based on your card types, how you entered your transaction, whether you had a business card, you had a debit card, you had a credit card, you had a rewards card. So all of that would be based off, the card type. So it kind of fluctuates. It's not a fixed rate that you have. Every month it could be different based on what kind of cards you got. And like Lori said, we have examples that we put out there. So if you scan the QR code, you would see those statements which actually show you the what a statement which has the interchange plus pricing looks like.
Gotcha. Great. Thank you. The next question is, how does the contactless payment processing work?
So the devices that we have are capable of doing Apple Pay, Google Pay, Tap to Pay. So, none of the salon owner or the employee has to touch the device. It faces the client and they swipe the card. So it basically they have no contact with the client. So that's how it would work basically.
Great, thank you for that. And then lastly, how long does it take to switch to Rosie Pay?
So it typically takes 2 to 3 business days. Now, once you submit your application, we have an underwriting process, basically. So underwriters review the application and they get in touch with you in case they need any additional information. But it typically takes 2 to 3 business days to get everything set up.
Excellent, excellent. And we do have more questions coming in, so thank you very much for these great questions. What is the cost of the equipment?
So we have a list of equipments or terminals, and once you get in touch with us, we will send you the list of all the devices that we have, and they all, they all differ in pricing. It just depends on which one you choose. But if you decide to buy it, it could be anywhere from $400 going up, or you can rent it for like as little as $10 to about $20 a month.
Okay, so it sounds like we have a long list of equipment
Yeah,
and
right. Yes,
businesses
exactly.
need in terms of which equipment they select. So we can't exactly say a specific price because there's options.
Yes, exactly. Because every device has different features, and it depends on your need and what kind would you prefer.
Okay, all right, good. Oh, another one just came in. Shouldn't have said 3 because they keep coming in. This is terrific, people. What is the
Awesome.
process for taking deposits? I know that's a hot topic, and this person wants to know what is the process for taking those deposits.
Sorry, that one would be
I can
for
take
you.
that, yeah. So the deposits you can set up in your business based off of the service. So you can select which services you want to secure a deposit for, and then it can also be set up as a dollar amount or a percentage of that service cost.
Great. All right. I wanted to pause just 30 seconds for any additional questions that have come up. Okay. If I have existing equipment, could my existing equipment be integrated?
No, unfortunately, we cannot reprogram devices anymore or terminals anymore. And that's more for your own security, because there is a certain EMV code that needs to be in there. And it has to be encrypted, basically. So you have to get a device from us.
Okay. Okay. And that's more a technical thing than anything, right?
Yes, exactly.
Okay, very good. Can each booth renter have their own account so their money goes into their account?
Yes, we can have multiple merchant processing accounts for the same salon based on how many booth renters they have. And they can use the same device, so they don't even have to get separate terminals for each of those booth renters. They'll have their own code, and they can run transactions on the same device at the same salon.
As there would be a master account for the salon, and then each renter would have their own individual accounts.
Correct, yes.
Great, great, good, great questions. How do I get started? Where do I go from here? This person wants to know.
Cool. So all you would need to do is just log on to Rosie, go to manage, to your Rosie account, go to manage, and you would see a tab for Rosie Pay. Just click on that, fill out all the information. Based on your volume, you may or may not be required to upload statements. If you are required to upload statements, you would just upload them there, and one of our team members would take a look at it, send you an analysis, and get in touch with you.
And if it's somebody who's not a current Rosie user, they can go to getrosie.com. They can start a free 30-day trial. And once you start your free trial account, still from there, you can follow the same steps that Nero mentioned and start an application process for Rosie Pay.
Yes. And then if your volume is not required to upload statements, then you would just basically fill out the application, submit it, and it'll go to our underwriting team. They'll review it, and we'll be in touch with you with the next steps.
And we listed our contact information on this slide.
Yes.
Yep.
It just occurred to me, we mentioned deposits, but we didn't mention the fact that that is a Rosie feature that is exclusive to Rosie Pay.
Yes, absolutely. So you cannot get that with any other processor, or even cards on file. You only get that with Rosie.
Okay.
Great.
Those were terrific questions. I don't see any others coming in at this time. So
Okay.
Lori, back to you.
Thank you. Well, Niru, thank you so much for all of the information today. Jason, thank you for joining us. And thank you for everybody else that joined us today. We hope that this information was resourceful and useful and shed some light on any questions that you may have around payment processing. So thank you everybody for joining us today.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.